Hi, everybody. Discussing key concepts with Hey, everybody. I'm going to move this just a little bit. So, I'm really looking forward to my chat with Guruji today. It almost feels like, I've not spoken to him for 2 weeks. It feels like the first time I'm talking to him, even though. So, I've really, really looked forward to it. I was waiting all day yesterday. I was excited like a little child. So, thanks for joining in, all of you. We're going to be discussing some of the key concepts that have really resonated with all of us, with me today. So, whenever Guruji joins, we're going to start. I think my meeting with Guruji was ecstatic. It was just, I met Guruji and there was a great feeling of joy. And then we spoke a lot. Guruji and I had a lot of conversation, and it got me thinking a lot. So the rest of the day went in just conversation, and then I was processing everything that we had spoken about once I came back. And actually every day a lot. I've been thinking, listening to his advice, understanding the deeper meanings behind it. And as he advised me, Guruji advised me to really stay in the sound of silence and to explore it. So Rajni, as I wrote to you, Guruji taught us the Archana as a part of the yoga philosophy program. And Guruji's here. And he's also they're going to be offering it again. I strongly recommend it. I have not been able to watch all the lectures because of my travel, but I'm in the process of doing it. But it's a part of that. Highly, highly recommend everyone to join it, just to even listen to his wise words and be in his presence. Hey, friends. So, Guruji. Namaste.
Namaste.
Pranam, Guruji.
Yes, how are you?
Oh, Guruji, been sitting with everything that we talked about in the last
Ah,
2 weeks. I've just been sitting, and every day, Guruji, in my meditations, just all our conversation and the deeper meanings behind it keep surfacing. Um, I took your advice. I looked after my health. It's gone now. It's much, much better. Uh, it's been great, Guruji. I was looking forward so much to talking to you today, because I felt like for the last 2 weeks I sat, like you advised, I really sat in the sound of silence. I really tried to make some changes and go deeper and explore more. So that's where I am, Guruji.
definitely. Your visit made a significant change on me.
It did.
Yes,
It did for sure, Guruji. Actually, more than I could have imagined.
yes.
Yeah. And
Very
while I
true.
was there, Guruji, I received what I received, and then I continued to process it. So I'm still getting more out of it every day.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. I recommend everybody to be able to, I also feel, Guruji, I was talking to all the people before, not today, last week. And I said, Guruji, to me, I don't know, the feeling that I had when I went to Intimacy is it's one of those places that you'll only get to if you're meant to get to there. There has to be a cosmic alignment for you.
True.
It's not like, hey, I want to go to Greece, I'm going to go to Greece. It's not like that. If there's a cosmic alignment, you'll find yourself there in spite of all hurdles, and if there isn't, it'll be hard. I just had that feeling.
Of course, anybody who is coming over here with an open mind, if it is preoccupied with some ideas, it may not, resonate. If we let our mind just be in tune with the nature, the subtle vibrations, what will happen? Immediately, the inner core of our mind stuff will be reacting to the silence of nature. Did I tell you about the incident or story through which I came over here in the land of intimacy?
You did last time, Guruji. You mentioned briefly that you asked your sister to buy the land because you had a
Yes,
dream. Yes,
yes.
yes, yes, yes.
So it was a clear instruction to me from our masters through the Siddha language. And then I came over here. Then slowly I started studying the history of this land where you were sitting and facing the temple, where thousands of energy transformations took place. Like as we say, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. If one form of energy changes, it will appear in another form. We label it as a modern theory of thermodynamics. But it is clearly mentioned in almost all Upanishads and especially in Bhagavad Gita. Na sado vidyade bhavo, na bhavo vidyade shala. Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. One more line is there. Ubhayoravi drishtondu tanevo tatudarshi. The person who understands this fact, this law of nature, must be called as Tattvadarshi. Means Shastrata. I mean the scientist. Tattvam means we are saying that, oh, philosophy. What is the Sanskrit name of philosophy? Tattva Shastra.
Science.
What does it mean? Tattvam. Tat, that. Your source or your destination is you, yourself. Tattvam. That is the meaning. Tattva Shastra means the science of our own life, which we say Ayurveda or Siddhavai or Yoga Shastra. So, in the temple, around 2000, 3000 years ago, how people were treating. Now, when we go through Mahabharata, we may say that, oh, Dronacharya is taking Agneya in the serials, we are seeing that, that TV serials, we see somebody is coming over here and sending an arrow, which is making a, light. Actually, that time, mind was being used for creating or manifesting energy. If you want to get a feeling of wind, the air molecules should move. If molecules are in a state of stillness, you don't feel the air. If you want to feel the air, it should move. Same way, the energy which is manifesting as this universe, our mental energy, should be focused and converted into the elements, basic 5 elements, the way we like. That is what called Ichha Shakti. It's called Mantra Sadhana. So if I want to produce fire in a certain distance, I focus my mind, take control over that, then infuse my desire, Ichha, then enforce it. After, in this particular destination, fire should be manifested. So mind will create the matter. This is how they say Agneyastra, Vayavyastra, Varunastra. It's all dealing with the basic elements. So at that time, instead of medicine, masters were using the power of mind. This is what intimacy is propagating now. Replace medicine from your life through the power of mind. Earlier, people thought, oh, it's only an exaggerated, primitive thought. Now, this is what quantum physics is saying this. You can use the power of mind for getting things done. Quantum healing. So, what you were experiencing, like 2000, 3000 years ago, masters used to come to that temple which you saw. You were facing that, and they were processing this. A particular disease is developed through the power of mind. Another powerful mind will come and remove that energy from that diseased body and infuse it into a different plant. That process was happening here, the higher level of quantum healing. So you were experiencing that vibration. Now in modern world, many thousands of people are going to come in this area to be healed. They will take the advantage of this vibration of our masters and renowned sages like Agastya Muni, Parashara Maharshi. Many sages used to come to that area thousands of years ago. Their vibrations we can experience when we sit with an open heart.
For
This is what
sure,
is happening. Yes.
for sure, Guruji. There was some
So
vibration there.
you are in that shower of energy, and I am 100% sure where there is an effort, there has to be a result. This is the law of nature.
Yes. Yes, and I was I was just attracted to that place. I didn't even plan to go there. I was invited to that place. So I'm going to say what Guruji said, that how energy cannot be created and energy cannot be created and it cannot be destroyed. It always exists, and it can be converted, right, Guruji? What you said, it can be converted, but it cannot be generated or destroyed. So he's just explaining the principle. When we heard growing up, Guruji, that, oh, there is a Baba and he kind of created fire and he created water, and we thought this was all black magic and just, a play of hands. But what Guruji is saying, that it's actually that energetic field which energy is manifested in the 5 elements. That's how we manifest it into. And then we release it from there. Our journey is from energy to 5 elements back to energy. And when he's talking about quantum healing, what Guruji is saying, that the process used in this quantum healing, which Indimasi really well combines with some other modalities, but really it's really based on quantum healing and Guruji's presence and touch and the energetic vibration, is that that energy which has taken a gross form in the body as disease, that is released again through these methods as energy. And it's kind of untrapped, that energy which was trapped and now formed disease is kind of released, and then that's how healing happens. So that's lovely, Guruji. And I can so much, before I met you, Guruji, or before I started speaking to you, I was reading all of this, understanding all of this, doing some of the meditations, but it never became so clear as it has become now. And I'm sure it's still a long way to go, but it's much, much more clear today than it ever was before. And I'm sitting with my Indimasi cup as instructed by Prasad ji.
Good. Anyhow, you have got a beginning. Yes, a good start will be the best thing what we can do. The rest is done by the law of nature. Just be very safe in the hands of nature. Mother Nature is so careful to take care of us.
So true, Guruji. So Guruji, last time what we talked about, we picked up a few key concepts, and we said, let's go over some of the key concepts that we've been talking about since the beginning. And we spoke about Chitta Vritti Nirodha, or really disengaging your senses to to experience that truth within. Then we spoke about Tapa. So Guruji, and then now we want to move on to other topics, other key concepts. So Guruji, is there anything about Chitta Vritti Nirodha and Tapa that we want to say again, and then we will move to other concepts?
Yeah, we can give a brief idea about that. Anyhow, yes. I just ask you to be in the hands of Mother Nature.
Yes.
I said it in a technical language, but when we go through a scientific intellectual analysis, the basic preparation or the basic quality for getting into yoga is Tyaga. Tyaga is, in English, renunciation, giving up of everything. But how possible it is? Who can renounce the present life? Our house, our job, our children? Is it possible? No. Then what does it mean?
You Tyaga the result. Sorry.
Yeah, the meaning is everything belongs to Mother Nature. We are being tools in the hands of Mother Nature. So we don't have the feeling of ownership. That is the meaning of Tyaga, Parityaga, complete renunciation. So understand and accept the domination or the authority of the law of nature. Surrender to that. There is a cosmic force, energy, which is controlling everything. Even the growth and fall of our own hair is being controlled by that law. Surrendering to that law is called Tyaga, renunciation. When you do that Tyaga, naturally you are being promoted to yoga. There yoga starts. Then we can go through the systematic instructions of our masters. There yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. Scientifically, we are bringing that practice into our own day-to-day life. This everybody should understand. Otherwise, this Tyaga, the word Tyaga is misinterpreted and misunderstood to a certain extent.
Absolutely, Guruji. Absolutely misunderstood. Yeah.
Yes.
What Guruji is saying, that the renunciation is of that that you, while you operate in the world, and you should operate in the world, the renunciation is of the ownership of your actions or of yourself or what's happening, to work as though you're working for Mother Nature. Like the Mother Nature is more invested in your cause than you are. When we get very invested and desperate about our cause and getting things done, that's the opposite of Tyaga. So Guruji is saying, do the actions that you're required to do, and with the mindset that you're just an employee for Mother Nature. Mother Nature is invested in this.
Yes. Mother Nature is taking care of everything. We don't have any right to possess things. This possessiveness is the real enemy or obsession. So we create something which is against the law of nature. That is what is the cause of misery. If you are having misery, never you improve in yoga. This is what we should understand. The cause of misery is our own creation. We hold things in a rigid way. Oh, this is me and mine. There we have to replace the me and mine. You should replace with the she and hers.
Absolutely, absolutely, Guruji. It's really that. And Guruji and I had a brief conversation when I was there. And we said, right, Guruji, that if we can do everything, we can become the president and we can become the prime minister and everything. As long as we are doing that from an action of non-ownership, we actually increase our scope of work on the earth. The minute we renounce the result of that action, the minute we are just conducting ourselves in a flow without possessiveness of what this action should generate for us.
True. Yes.
Okay, that was so lovely, Guruji. It's a big game changer. It's so much lightheartedness, Guruji, we operate in so much, like most of the time, the world operates in so much tightness and insecurity and misery, like you said, but this brings an instant lightheartedness to everything that's happening around us and ourselves.
If we practice this basic thing as Tyaga, just seeing the significance or the presence of Mother Nature or the law of nature, we will feel completely weightless. That weightlessness. See, if you go through the symbol again, India is the land of symbolization. We have a goddess who is representing Vidya. Who is Vidya Devi?
Saraswati.
Yes.
Saraswati.
Where does she sits?
She has an instrument in hand. I don't know where she sits, Guruji.
She is sitting on a lotus.
Yeah, lotus, like her.
Yes. If you want to sit on a lotus, you must be weightless.
Light.
Otherwise, the tender lotus cannot hold you. So when Vidya comes, knowledge comes, it should be blended with the spiritual awareness. Then you will not have the ego of knowledge. Yes, I know this and I can sell my knowledge. That material, commercialized thought will be taken away from you, and that space will be filled with the infinity of spiritual knowledge. There you will not have the feeling of I. That ego will be vanished. Then you will not have the weight. You will feel the weightlessness, the easy going of spiritual existence. That is why Vidya Devi is symbolized as sitting on a lotus. If we get into this knowledge, we should feel that weightlessness.
Yes.
So yes, so yoga is beginning with that renunciation of ego and egotistic or egocentric thought. One more question will come. If I don't have an ego, how I can survive in this world? Yes, we must have the ego, but not the limited ego, the cosmic ego. Our limited ego must be transformed into a universal, natural ego. There we can declare that, yes, I am that. Aham Brahmasmi.
Absolutely, Guruji. Absolutely. Even when I met Guruji, and I had a lot of questions, and I messaged Guruji that questions are coming in. Guruji encouraged me to stay in the sound of silence. Guruji, the one thing that I have experienced, and I want to talk to you about it, is when we go on this path, and at least my experience has been like that there's a great lightheartedness, and then you enjoy the fruits of just being, of just existing. And then suddenly there's something happens, either a conversation or a trigger or something, some new truth you discover about yourself. And then again, some questions start coming up, right? Like that's what happened to me, Guruji, after I met you. And then Guruji encouraged me to just stay in that sound of silence. And I was sincere about it. And I stayed. I didn't start itching that. I didn't start itching the bite that I had from. And then again, the weightlessness has come after that. That staying in that sound of silence for the last 2 weeks, just exploring within, has again led to weightlessness. And I think it makes what you're saying, Guruji, is that when you kind of surrender to Mother Nature and you keep surrendering, new truths keep coming up, and you just feel lighter and lighter.
Yes, that's true. This is what actually now you enjoy your development. Otherwise, you will fill your mind with informations regarding yoga. But I have seen many people get more confused by getting informations about experience and explanations of yoga. What is the use? Suppose you have a disease and you are not recognizing the actual cause and the real remedy. Instead of taking the exact medicine, you keep on eating different medicines. What will happen? So the real problem of our mind is ignorance, Maya. We don't know who we are. We don't know from where we are here. We don't know why we are here. And we don't know where we will go. So these things are really eating us up. Continuously it is destroying our inner peace. We need a medicine for that ignorance. That medicine is yoga. Once that yoga is applied, that yoga is listening the sound of silence. You have to observe your mauna. Mauna is silence. When you will become a mauni, different hormones will be developed within you. Within the sadhaka, the practitioner, that hormones will start developing new plane of thoughts, different thoughts that will start making you happy and contented. So the growth has to come from within. That is why Master is so clear. Shut down your organs. External information has to be ceased. Then the inner sound will develop, the hormones. Many times I said, prana apaniyor grandhi. When we start listening our sound of silence, prana and apana get united. Yoga will happen. Once it happens, granthi, new glands will be activated. The hormones like oxytocin, dimethyltryptamine, like many things will be produced, and you will have an intoxicated feeling. When you have that ecstatic feeling from within, the external things will become secondary. We will not be carried away with that. That is what is called control, self-control. If I was enjoying a taste of food, and one day I came to know that, oh, from tomorrow onwards, that food is not going to be supplied. Naturally, if I am completely depending on my sensory enjoyment, I will be depressed. Oh, tomorrow I am missing that. But if I feel a higher joy from within, and that loss will not be affecting. If it comes, okay, for time pass I can have. If it is not coming, okay. If it is supplied, thank you. If it is not supplied, thank you. Both will be taken in a very well balanced way. That is what is called the middle path. We are not completely renouncing the whole world, but we are not being entangled with that. That is what is called liberation. People think, oh, liberation, moksha, means you have to sit in the deep caves of Himalayas. No. Live in your house. Have everything as you are having right now. But liberate yourself from this entanglement. That's all.
Okay, great, Guruji. I'm going to do a quick summary. This is you explained everything at once in this one great explanation. Guruji started off by telling us that as we have so much going on, so much turmoil within us, and when we go on a journey of seeking and discovery, our tendency becomes to get more information and say, oh, so we are constantly treating ourselves with trial treatments and spending no time on diagnosis. What Guruji is suggesting is that the problem is, getting all of this information, getting all the possible treatments, but not understanding where the problem lies is what we end up doing most of the time. And to create that sound of silence, when he says yoga, he doesn't always mean asana. He means that practice of going within. So he says, when you develop that sound of silence, that tapa inside, and you go through that experience, then that sound of silence will help you to know yourself better and release energy. It becomes a tapasya, it becomes tapa, like a penance, like a practice. And when you do that, you get into higher states of being. Normally, right, because how Guruji has explained to us before, our emotions creates an electromagnetic field which connects us to the universe around us. When we have certain emotions, we are connected to a very different electromagnetic field. When you go into this whole sadhana or yoga or tapasya, and you have different types of hormones that are produced with a different electromagnetic field that we radiate, our experience in the world and the way we interact with the world and the thoughts that we generate are going to change completely. So instead of reading those 1 million books about what to do, think like this, think like that, all we have to do is go within us, find that sound of silence, find that yoga, do that tapa to create those elevated states of being, which will automatically change the way we interact with the world and create less desperation in our actions.
Yes.
Okay, Guruji. Now, can we talk about the sound of silence? I really want you to say a little bit about the sound of silence, Guruji.
See, when I was in my college, it was in 80, 81, 83, I was so, immersed with this karate and kung fu practice. That time, I saw a movie called Drunken Monk.
Drunken Monk.
Drunken Monk.
Okay.
So still I remember, when he is drunk, nobody can beat him, because he never sees the opponent. He's always, like a blob. Keep moving like a wave because he's drunk. So the other guys will try their level best to hit him, but he is not being static even for a second. He keeps on moving because he's intoxicated.
Yeah, he's in a flow.
Always he will be winning without doing anything. The other guys who will be hitting hardly will be tired of hitting him. He's not, blocking it because he is always moving because he is drunk. I still remember that. Even my life is like that. So I face lot of problems, but nothing is being hit because I keep moving like wind. Due to that inner, hormones developed through the meditation, always I feel that intoxicated, movements. So I cannot recognize something which is very harmful to me because I am not focused there. If I am not taking a particular thing in my depth of the mind, that cannot work on me. It's like a bacteria or virus. I was talking to one of my doctor friends, and from the talk I came to know newborn babies will not be affected by chickenpox. Then I asked him why, because then he said in their body there is no rigid, nerve channels. Newborn babies.
Okay.
Even they can survive for more than 6 minutes, 6 to 7 minutes without oxygen. This is what that pediatrician told me. Their body when the color can change. It can become blue color, but still child is capable of withstanding that because there is no rigid energy flows. Pranic flows are slow, flexible. What's happening then? The chickenpox virus enter in their body, in the child's body. Child will not recognize it. It cannot react. That means there is no effect of that bacteria in that flexible body. As the child grows up, that rigid behavior comes. Chickenpox virus will enter in the body. It will have a foundation because it's already recognized. Then it will work. The reaction is there. Earlier there was no reaction. It's like a light just passing through a transparent glass. No reaction. If the color is there, immediately reaction will come. So once we get that egotistic thoughts only, we are suffering from the reaction. Nature is simply pouring things on us and we are tired of reacting to that. When we get this intoxication, we will become as flexible as that child. So virus can enter in our body, bacteria can enter in our body, abusement can enter in our mind. Everything can come, but we are not recognizing it because we are ecstatic with the, different plane of consciousness. And a question will come from the listeners: how it's possible? No need to fall into all complicated yoga asanas, kriyas, bandhas, nothing. Sit on floor with a straight spine and hold the breath. Hold your breath as long as possible. Every day, test your limit. Try to improve it. Gradually, you will be guided by any one of the gurus. As Swami Vivekananda said, when the student is ready, either master will read or student will reach to the master. So initially, what I want to tell to everybody is just sit on floor. Spend 24 minutes minimum. 24 minutes minimum. Maximum, you try according to your limit. But minimum 24 minutes, sit on floor, close the eyes, and feel the breath through the legs. Sometime with certain intervals, keep holding it. Later, we can make small changes according to the maturity of retention of breath.
Yes,
it is called technically it is called Kumbhaga Prapti.
Yes.
Sanskrit way. Yes.
Even just by meeting Guruji, my practice has changed. I felt like even after meeting a Guruji, my practice has changed a little bit. Yeah, I'm in that intoxicated state, Guruji, listening to you. It's so funny because before I met Guruji and I used to do my meditation, I used to tell everybody that, oh my God, this is intoxicating. I get in an intoxicated state, and I didn't understand that intoxicated state. And then I probably felt ready inside somewhere. It's a state beyond any substance can give you. And then I used to just be like, oh my God, this isn't. And even dance does that to me, Guruji. Even dance brings intoxication out of me.
Of
And
course,
then I felt ready somewhere. And then Guruji arrived in my life just magically. So, like Guruji is saying, this really does happen. You know how we work, Guruji, to go with the flow. You know, they say
yes,
in the West, go with the flow with everybody around you. When you're in a big group, just go with the flow. Similarly, this practice teaches you to go with the flow in the universe. You know,
yes,
corona is happening, you go with the flow. This is, you just go with the flow, right? That's what it sounds like, Guruji, what you said.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to say, so Guruji, you know, always a lot of technical questions that come. That says, Isha
Now,
Devi says that this has happened many times where people are like, I have asthma, so I can't hold the breath. So Guruji suggested do as much as you can. And somebody says, I have a physical handicap. I cannot sit on the floor. Can I sit on a chair?
of course, keep the spine straight and relax the shoulders, then hold the breath. It's possible, and slowly we can feel the realignment of the body. By sitting on chair also we can do. Yes,
And this is why Guruji's work resonates so deeply with me, because he always tells us to find answers within. Guruji has made our journey so easy sitting in our own homes. He does not say that you have to go out and listen to me. He always just talks about how you sit in your own place, listen to the sound of your own silence, and really hold that breath to discover your own truths.
yes. Then people who are having asthma also, nothing to worry. Even for 5 seconds, you can keep holding it. Along with that, just have some medicine. Medicine in the sense like natural medicine,
Right.
like a mixture of ginger, then garlic juice and honey, and have it every day. And remove that mucus from your lungs. Along with the breathing, you can see every day slight change you can see. So self-monitoring is the best way, because everybody has a hidden sage, a hidden master, a doctor within ourselves. Explore that, make use of it. Then we can restructure our body, our mind, and our own life.
I encourage everybody highly to really consider listening to all of Guruji's talks and going to Indemasi if the universe allows them. And this is, I think a unique, Guruji is a unique master in our times who says, you don't have to listen to me, you have to listen to the sound of your own silence. And he's just guiding. And that's the reason why this resonates so deeply with me. So, Guruji, since we're discussing key concepts and we discussed Chitta Vritti Nirodha, we discussed Tapa, we discussed the sound of silence. Now, Guruji, we had discussed in our conversations that we have been having, we had, because we are operating in this world, and we had spoken about the four Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. And we had a whole session on that. So the question that came about was, how do I know, and we gave a brilliant answer, but I would like you to repeat it for everybody who's listening, is that how much dharma to do, how much artha monetary or means to pursue, how much kama, sensory indulgence, and how much moksha. And you had said there was no prescription for it. So, but Guruji, can you tell us that amazing guidance, which was a game changer for me again, so many game changers that you gave us at that point. It was a second talk that we had had.
Okay. Anyhow, dharma is beyond our comprehension. We don't know what dharma is, but it is there, the law of nature. To understand that law of nature, our intellect is not capable. That is why we make use of our instinct. To activate your instinct, you have to hold your breath. Kumbhaka, retention of breath. Keep doing that, then your instinct will be activated. And there will be a coordination, a harmony between our brain and lungs. Because intellect is being processed in the brain, instinct is being processed in the lungs. Nadi centers are there. Nerve channels will be well in tune with the brain functions. There we will come to know what dharma is. The rest is, next one is artha. How much money, how much possessions we can. Possess as much as you want. There is no restriction, no limit of possessions. Because you are guided by your inner guru. That inner guru never makes a mistake. Rely on him, your own guru. And that guru will guide you to understand how much you have to possess. Artha. You can, artham means achieve, the achievements. You, make as much as you want. No limit. But that limit will be managed by your inner guru. Then dharma, artha will be managed. Then kama. That guru will give right instruction. Your instinct will be very powerful. It's like you cannot make eating an animal a wrong food. If you take a nicely cooked fish, you may think, yeah, this is amazing. That cooked by that international cook, and take that fish to a cow. That cow will not even touch on that. Why? Because the cow is controlled by instinct. It knows very well that that food is not matching to its digestive system. But we, human brain is developed, we claim that we are more intellectual than other animals. If we feel a pain or some uneasiness in the stomach, somebody is offering something, and we may say that, no, I am not in a mood to eat. But that guy may say that, oh, you are making a mistake. This is the food which is having this nutritional value, this many things are there, blah, 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 many things are there, and cooked by that, award winner cook, he did it. So we are really fooled by informations. Then what will happen? Even though our instinct said, yes, please don't eat, but we are fooled by, we are carried away with that information, we will try to eat that, which will poison the whole system. This is what is happening. So when we do the yoga, the proper retention, we hold the breath, instinct will be more active. When that will come in tune with the intellect, the inner guru will be guiding us. So never you overindulge your senses. So you can have your karma, fulfill your desires as much as you want, but never you cross the limit, because you have the inner balance.
No prajna.
Yes. Yeah. So if you have the balance in these three planes, dharma, artha, kama, are under your control, you are already liberated. Moksha happened.
Moksha is a byproduct. It's a byproduct. It's not something we chase.
Moksha, yes. Moksha is a consequence of the harmonious function of dharma, artha, kama.
So what Guruji answered is actually a $1 trillion question right now. It's a $1 trillion question, because when we exist in the world, we are every day, all of us, whether we are Hindu, we understand this philosophy or not, anywhere in the world, we're always asking ourselves, how much of my self goals do I pursue? How much money do I pursue? How much sensory indulgence do I pursue? This is a question everybody is always asking themselves, and we are always looking at books and talks and knowledge outside, or we're getting frustrated and just letting go and indulging like crazy. But none of these can get anybody to answers. The 100,000 books, or just the letting go and completely giving up and consuming everything we want, both lead to a dead end, a place of misery. So Guruji is talking about how do you really then learn to operate in the world? How do you know how much money to pursue, how much sensory indulgence to pursue? What is all of that? So Guruji is saying that the more we chase the intellect, the more confusing this journey gets. The answer to this does not come through our intellect. It comes through our intuition, it comes through our instinct, it comes through something called our prajna, our inner wisdom, right, Guruji? It comes to that inner
Yes.
wisdom. And now, when it comes to our inner wisdom, the task then becomes to awaken this inner wisdom. And the practices that Guruji talks to us about are all of those of awakening our inner wisdom so that we ourselves know how much indulgence. It's just a natural flow. You operate in the world with flow. You do dharma with the flow, karma with the flow, artha with the flow. And the result of this flow becomes liberation, becomes moksha.
Yes. Unfortunately, even our brain is trained to understand or to get a book on inner wisdom. Where I will get this is possible.
I know,
Actually,
you're
this
so
is what
right,
is happening.
Guruji. You're so right. You say, oh, somebody else has inner wisdom. They've written a book. I will take that inner wisdom and try and make it mine.
Yes, this is what is happening.
Guruji, where will we find anybody else in the world who tells us to tap into ourselves? Everybody is telling us, tap into my wisdom, tap into my wisdom. And here Guruji is telling us, tap into your own wisdom.
Yes.
That's so beautiful, Guruji. I'm seeing there are some questions.
Yeah.
We'll take more key concepts. Guruji, the key concepts of, we had spoken about Tantra and Kundalini. But I think for now, these key concepts are good because you've started us off on a really great path as a summary for the, Chittavritti Nirodha Tapa, sound of silence, awakening that inner guru to learn how to operate in the world outside. So we'll take some questions for today.
Yeah.
This is a technical question again. Does the kumbhaka have to be done in the morning on an empty stomach?
Yes. Morning is the best time. Empty stomach also. Yes, it's good. But if you are so hungry, then air can be upset. Have something light food, wait for 10-15 minutes, then you have to practice.
Okay. But Guruji, if the morning, I practice in the morning every day, but let's say I'm traveling or somebody else is traveling and you miss it in the morning, what is the other time to do it? Not right after food, right? Can you give us some other, how much time do you wait after food to do the kumbha?
Usually 2 hours after food, we can do comfortably. And this kumbhaka is very simple. It is not necessary to fix a time for that. Even I used to do sometime when I travel in the airport also, I take my mat and I carry one mat with me. And wherever is comfortable, I'll put there and I'll do my meditation, irrespective of the time. Whenever it's available, I will do that.
Guruji, is it important to carry a same mat? Would you recommend that? Because right now, I don't carry my mat. I just do it whenever.
No, it is not necessary to carry the same mat, but sometimes it may not be available. Even in a hotel when we go, there may not be having a comfortable mat. That sometimes it will be very thick, sometimes it will be very thin. That is why to get that same comfort, I keep one thin blanket. I will hold it and I will use as my meditation mat.
Okay, Guruji, that's good to know. Okay, so now kitchen and other stories. I think I know what Guruji is going to say to this, but I'll still read out your question. Guruji is saying to stay in silence, but her meditation is a chanting practice where she has to chant a mantra with her eyes open. What shall I do? So she follows a certain practice.
If she follows a certain path and feeling the benefit of that, then let her continue that. No need to change if she is getting the benefit. Yes.
What a great answer, Guruji. That's so lovely that, if you're getting the benefits, you do it. Guruji never compels us, never forces us to come in direction. But he also knows that when the time is ready, I did so many things, and he knows when the time is ready, you'll go in a certain direction.
Yes.
Uh, Pause for a minute. Are we supposed to do mantra? Brahmi Guruji said that eventually you will get a mantra. So Guruji, before we end, can you talk about, I know you said that at some point, automatically a mantra, you'll receive a mantra when you're on this path.
Yeah.
Can you talk about
Yes.
that a little bit, Guruji?
Yeah, according to the maturity of our retention, Kumbhaga Prapti, nature will react because the whole universe is produced from a sound, a basic sound. Technically, it is called Nada Brahma or an ultrasound or something like we can say, but which is beyond our comprehension. When certain attention, our focused mind reaches to that level, it will react. By that time, from nature itself, like if we say Panjakshari, Namah Shivaya. One day, one of my European friends asked me, "So why Guruji, you are insisting me to recite Namah Shivaya, 5 letters? Why can't I use A, B, C, D, E, F?" He asked. It's a nice question. But Sanskrit language derived from the reaction from nature. Like if somebody pinches on your hand, if you are having the real pain, you cannot say hi. You cannot. The reaction will be, oh, like that. So, masters who established their consciousness into higher planes or different plane of consciousness or dimensions, they started, recognizing subtle sounds from nature as part of their intense meditation. Certain reactions happen, and they observed it, and they noted it. It is not artificially, created or invented. It's a discovery. They
Yes.
unraveled their, intellectual layers. Then they started experiencing something directly from nature. They could connect themselves with the different layers of existence. From that, mantras evolved, and they labeled. If you are getting this Kumbhaga Prapti, make use of this sound. If you are reaching to that level of Kumbhaga Prapti, make use of this sound. This is how different mantras evolved.
Wow. That's why Guruji told me that he says when he feels I'm ready, he will give me a mantra. So the mantra
Yes.
is not, it's just based on where you are inside. What is your electromagnetic field? What sound are you connecting to in the universe? And you want to
Yes.
continue to tune into. It's an
Yes.
energy that you're tuning into through your mantra.
Yes.
And that is based on the readiness, because if it's like the transistor, it has to be tuned to get the certain to get the certain
Yes.
sound. Without that
Yes.
tuning, it's no point. So what Guruji is saying,
Okay.
as you tune yourself, that sound you will receive, the universe will give you
Yes.
that sound from somewhere. Okay,
Yes.
Guruji, I'm waiting, Guruji, I'm tuning every day. Lovely. Yeah, Guruji, it's so funny you said that, because in every language, the word for even mother is either amma, ma, amma. That's because that's, I guess, the energetic sound of.
True. Even you listen a cow, the sound is, it's calling ma only. It's coming from as ma.
Lovely, lovely, Guruji. Okay, we have only 5 minutes. Rashmi, Guruji has said, okay, anyways, I'm going to let Guruji answer it. Guruji, she asks, what can if we can do other types of pranayam along with Kumbhaka, how much time do we need to do meditation in Kumbhaka? So, people are doing all kinds of pranayama, and now they want to do meditation in Kumbhaka. So, Guruji, what do you have to say to this? And now you had answered this, but since today is a revision and a summary of everything, I brought up the question. Somebody brought up the question again.
If somebody is doing pranayama, there must be an instructor or a guru to teach them. And along with that pranayama, only that guru knows which way that student is advancing. Otherwise, they should say that specifically I am doing this pranayama and or kriya, then what can be next? So based on that, I can tell. Otherwise, the best option is from whom they learn this techniques of pranayama or kriya, ask that guru for the next step.
Right, right. What Guruji had mentioned to us in the past is that, as you know, when I had asked Guruji this question, right, Guruji, I had asked you this question at some point, and Guruji had said that generally all of the pranayamas will come as a natural stage once you start here. So Guruji had said, you don't even start at mantra, you start at breath retention and you start at breath observation, and automatically Agnisar will happen. And I witnessed this. Ujjayi happened by itself with me. And I know somebody else who just went into an Agnisar, because that's what it's going to be a natural progression. But what Guruji is saying, if you are doing a practice which you enjoy, then you get guidance from that Guru, because he knows your journey and the way you're conducting that journey.
Yes.
He is constantly telling us not to combine all of this, because Guruji's path is the same. It's sound of silence, breath retention. Keep tuning, and you will get what you need to get.
It's exactly like the meditation and pranayama is like a medicine for the mind. If we take a particular medicine for our body, that doctor must be knowing how much dose, what kind of medicine can be applied for this person. Based on that improvement, that medicine will be changed. So same way, meditation is the medicine for the mind. So as it changes, we have to change the technique. I mean, the technique means the mantra. So all of a sudden, I cannot say, yeah, this can be added there. It depends on the evaluation of the changes.
Yes, Guruji. Yes, it'll happen from within. Whenever you are ready, it will come to you. Okay, Guruji, one last question. Devika is asking, the instinctive thought of Tyaga came into my mind, and I'm trying to implement it through silence and breath work. How can I consciously practice more Tyaga?
Actually, nothing should be done consciously except holding the breath.
Yes.
Because we are struggling our level best to go beyond our consciousness. We need super consciousness. We have to activate first Tantra state, then super consciousness. For that, we have to get rid of the plane of consciousness. Existing consciousness should be removed or arrested. For that, only way is to hold the breath. Then the existing plane of consciousness will be removed. Then another plane will be revealed. Once we give up that also, another will be revealed. So we will come to know different planes of consciousness. Dimensions will be revealed to us. So then later we will comfortably start shifting from one dimension to other dimension, then going up and down based on our will. That is the ultimate goal of yoga.
Absolutely. In fact, that's what Guruji started off by telling us. He started saying that Tyaga is so misunderstood. We think Tyaga is this forceful renunciation with misery and pain. But Tyaga is not like, oh no. Tyaga is just like this. It's just you just automatically, it's shedding off. Tyaga is, it's shedding off because you're not possessive anymore. And he's saying that you don't need to plan your Tyaga. You just keep tuning yourself. You keep breathing. And it's now when Guruji is saying this, I really feel like when I'm holding my breath, it's like you tune into a different plane. And the minute you go into a different plane, you automatically renounce what was in the existing plane. Because now you're in a different plane. You're listening to another station. You can't be listening to two stations at one time.
That's true.
Yes, Guruji. Yes, that was lovely, Guruji. I'm so glad. I'm so grateful, Guruji. So grateful. I have come back to my life with so much more clarity here in the US, with a renewed sense of purpose, with much more enthusiasm to be on my journey, Guruji.
Very good, very good. I pray for everybody. I, consciously and unconsciously, I'm sending my energy to everybody who are listening, and just try to be in tune with that energy and explore as much as you want and develop the way you like.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you. Salam
Pranam,
to all.
Guruji. I will talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you.